Hello. Okay, so I thought I'd give a quick overview of my plans for today. So I'm painting a Fire Warrior Pathfinder. I'm going to be using these three brushes: a detail brush, a wash brush, and a 0.5mm brush. And then I'm only going to be using these colors, contrast colors, to show off what they can do. So we've got Militarum green, Black Templar, Snakebite leather, Ultramarines blue, and base Screaming Bell. And so this is my video on how to paint with contrast colors. Okay, so I'm going to start this guy off with some Astra Militarum green. Now this I'm doing on the armor plating. So I've been talking to one of my friends who plays Tau, and according to him, the armor plating and other elements are sort of dependent on what actual planet they're on. So I'm doing these guys up as though they're on a jungle planet, and they need to have good camo against all the flora and fauna on the planet. But this is also my very first time actually painting Tau. I have not practiced on any other models, so this is me just seeing how to do it. Now, I don't know how many of you have painted with contrast paint before, but oh my god, it has completely changed my speed of painting so much. It is such a fantastic new painting system. So this is quite literally one paint that you have to mix the bottles up really well. So there's one paint and there's lots of different colors for different shades and everything like that, but effectively it combines step 1, 2 and 3 that I did in my previous videos all into one step, so cuts down on your paint time immensely. Okay, so he's still got a bit of shielding armor type stuff on that arm and back here. Okay, just do a bit more under there, bit under his arm. Now, as you may have noticed, I'm being pretty liberal with this, and I'm not really worrying too much about going over areas where I'd normally be super careful about where I was painting to make sure I didn't hit any areas that I was going to do in different colors. But with contrast paints, you sort of almost don't have to do that. It's quite magical what you can do with these things. Okay, so that is all of his armor painting. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is his legs, which I feel like the ultramarine blue actually works quite well for, if you think about these guys and the ethereals that they have. So I've just jumped straight into my next coat of paint. I'm not being shy about this at all. I've probably got too much paint on the brush right now, but I will strip some of it off as I go. So I'm just scraping it back into my pot so I don't waste too much. But you don't have to be. The contrast paints do come in more liberal pots than the standard paints because they are considerably runnier. But you don't want to wait. You don't really want to waste them. So fix that when you can. Okay. So now I'm just going to use some Black Templar. And the previous paint I used was Ultramarines Blue. So this Black Templar, I have this new light that I'm trying out, and I keep bumping into it. So I haven't quite got my setup right yet, but I'll get there. So this is Black Templar. It's just a nice black paint that actually gives you awesome effects. It again is a contrast paint. So I mean the green layer has slightly dried, but I haven't really waited any additional time before painting this beyond the time it took me to paint the Ultramarines Blue. So this is almost a real-time paint job for how long it takes me to paint a Tau warrior. Okay, so that's all I was doing for the contrast black. Okay, and so this is the last of the contrast paints that I'm using for the base coating, and this one is Snakebite Leather, which is what I'm doing for his pants. And I'm just going straight over all the areas that I may have got other colours on, because this Snakebite Leather is actually quite dark, and will just cover up most of those stuff ups. But having said that, the Ultramarines Blue might be a stronger colour. So one thing I've found with contrast paints is that they don't, if you merge two paints in this one area, the darker will become the dominant colour, and that gives you the problem of seams can be different than the colour you were expecting. So what I find is that after I've done all my basing, I have a new second step before highlighting, which is sort of going over small joins and seams and things like that, where I think it needs to be corrected. And because contrast paint, of the way it works, you can't just paint over it again, because it will actually take on properties of the lower colours. You have to start with the base coat again, and paint the whole thing fresh. So for this guy, that would mean a new coat of Wraithbone on wherever I felt needed to be reapplied, and then going over that specific area with the specific colour that I wanted. God damn this light, I need to get a better stand for it. Okay, his gloves, actual gloves on his hand are supposed to be brown as well, and I've noticed I've missed an area where I haven't put some black, so I'll just do this hand and then I'll fix up that black area that I missed. see, like this area here at the end of his gauntlet, I've accidentally had the brown come onto that. So I'll be going over that again with Wraithbone and then fixing it up so it's the green color that I wanted. The other thing that I've found as well is if you look at the helmet just here, the contrast paint has actually split too far, and so it's got a little white patch. So very frequently I find that I have to re-go over contrast paints a second time, just to fill in spots where it's split unexpectedly. Now something else I am going to do that I have neglected is that he has bone spurs on his feet, so I'm also going to go and use a skeleton horde on those to make them sort of more look like bony talon hoof things. But essentially that is him base coated. You could almost take him and play him now, but that's not quite right. So I'm gonna grab my Wraithbone and just do some fixing ups once he's dry, though, because this first base coat of contrast paints, you should let it completely dry before you get to the correcting stage, apart from the little bit of Black Templar that I'm going to put on the gun that I've just remembered I needed to do. So I'll do that right now. So missed two areas here and here. Ooh, a little spot in there. Okay. All right. Okay, and there we go.